Hello, dear student. Let's move ahead from the topic that we are considering. We were talking about the magnetic force on a moving charge. Now we will be studying magnetic force on a current carrying element or wire. So if there is a current carrying wire in presence of magnetic field, then it experiences a magnetic force. So let's start with this. Let's say we are having this current carrying wire and current is running like this. Let's say this is I current that is running on this, and this entire arrangement has been placed in an external magnetic field. So now this magnetic field exists over the space where it is being placed. So this B is externally applied magnetic field, and its direction I am showing into the plane of this screen, that means perpendicular and going inside. And we want to know how much force this wire is going to experience because of the presence of external field. That's the point. So we need to understand what the magnetic force is going to act on this current carrying wire in presence of magnetic field B. So in order to understand this, we will be starting in this manner. We will be taking an element. So we will be considering a current element of a small length dl. So let's say this is current element and its direction is along the current, and that is dl vector. So in this small element, how much force will be acting, thus I'm writing. Then we can think of how the proof is coming. So I'm writing over here, it's a force acting. When we say force, we are saying basically magnetic force acting on differential length element dl vector due to presence of magnetic field is given by, and if we are writing that force as a df vector, so that's a df vector is going to be equal to I, whatever the current that is running in that wire, in bracket that dl differential length element cross magnetic field. So this is the differential force formula that acts on a differential length dl as shown in the figure. So what we need to do is we need to find out what the I current is, what the magnetic field is, and where the element has been taken. Then we need to go for this cross product, and then we will simplify this cross product and multiplying this I to get the df. From here we can conclude two things, or we should conclude two things. One is the magnitude of force. So when we talk about the magnitude of this force, so you'll find this magnitude is going to be written as df is equal to I dl into b into sine theta. Now sin theta is going to use the theta, which is angle between dl vector and b vector. So theta is going to be angle between magnetic field and dl. The way I have shown the magnetic field in this particular figure, if for this particular figure you can measure the angle. dl is in the plane of the screen, b is perpendicular, so there's going to be 90-degree angle. In this particular case, theta is 90-degree. So if theta is 90-degree, then df will become simply I dl into b. Now that dl is a differential length that requires integration in order to simplify the entire stuff. So that's the magnitude of this force. And next point that we need to cover is direction. So how we can cover that direction? A direction can be calculated by using the cross product, because the current is always positive, so it does not carry any sign. So we can say df direction will be same as the direction of dl cross b. So we can say direction of df force is given by, or is same as direction of dl cross b. So basically a cross product is being used, and the direction of this cross product is going to give us the direction of force on that small element. Now if we do that cross product, then you see dl is in this, b is perpendicular, so force has to be in the plane and in this plane perpendicular to DL is going to be two directions, either in this upward direction or in this downward direction. Then we can use the right hand rule, placing our fingers in the direction of DL, curling naturally towards B. Then you'll find downward direction will not be the answer, upward direction will be the answer. So you'll find this small element is going to experience a force in this direction. So that's going to be the direction of DF. Now by this formula we will be able to find out the force, magnitude and direction only for this small element, but if we need to find the force of this entire on this entire wire, so we know what to do. For that sake we need to go for this. We can say net force. If we are looking for net force, so force is a vector quantity, it has to be added up vectorially. So this force is going to be summation of all the df's, which we call as the integration of df vectors. So we need to sum them vectorially, not in terms of magnitude. And we have done this kind of thing n times, so you must be used to now that whenever a vector quantity is, it's always required the integration of the direction or complete vector. Making sense? And this df that we have calculated or shown over here, this has to be perpendicular to dl. So it's a perpendicular to dl as well as perpendicular to magnetic field. So one thing we can say, the force on a wire is always going to be perpendicular to the wire, because that wire length dl decides its direction. Makes sense? Now in totality where it goes, that will depend on the entire orientation of the wire and integration of this aspect. But yes, for element it's going to be perpendicular to that element. So cross product says this direction will be perpendicular to both DL as well as P. Okay, so that must be making sense. So this is again a new force that is coming in. So what you need to keep in mind, whenever there is a current carrying wire and there is a magnetic field present, then you can think of there is going to be a force acting on that wire, and that differential force is given by this expression, and then you can think of what the magnitude and directions are, then how to get the net force. Now let's look how this can be proved, or how this expression is coming. So we can say that's a kind of proof or something. Well, this force that we are studying is not entirely new force, rather it's the same force that we have already talked about previously. The force that you remember, F is equal to QV cross B. So basically it's a modification of the same expression. How we are getting that modification, let me explain over here, then you will getting it. Let's talk about only this DL element. When we are talking about only this DL element, so in this DL element some charge particle must be moving. So if you look at the charge point of view, then you'll find a positive charge Q must be moving in this way. Basically this is not the charge positively, but it is electron that moves in a positive direction. So we can think of this as a charge Q, and it's moving with velocity V. In wires, conductors, we have already talked about this, they are moving with velocity drift speed. So they are going to move with a drift speed. So what the force on those charged particles which are located in this particular zone is going to be. So if we talk about that force, so we can write that force is going to be dF, because we are considering for those charged particles which are in this dl length. This is going to be equal to charge, how much charge in this particular part is. So charge is going to be, we can say the charge is going to be, let's say write this as a Q for the time being, and the drift speed is going to be the velocity with which they are traveling, and this has to be crossed with the magnetic field. Now what the charge will be located in this particular element, in order to calculate that, we can say this Q is going to be, E is going to be the charge of one electron, because charge is going to be equal to one electron, into, if we multiply with this number of electrons available in this zone, so that will become the total charge, and that is going to be N. N is the number of electrons, free electrons per unit volume. So we need to multiply with the volume of this part. So volume is going to be the area, cross section area, into the length, and the length that we are considering is a TL. So we can write Q as E N A dl, and now substitute this Q there, so this dF force will become differential force will be equal to some sort of this NEADL and cross product of VD and B. Now you see this VD drift speed and this DL, because DL is a very small element, they are going to be in the same direction. Since they are in the same direction, so we can give the direction to DL and we can take VD outside. So we can say this DF can also be rewritten as NEAVD. They can be combined together and we can give this direction to DL, so DL vector cross B vector. Are you getting this point? If you are getting this point, then it's done, because this NEAVD is nothing but the current. So we can say DF force is going to be equal to I into DL cross B. So basically the same formula which was QV cross B has been converted into another formula, and that formula is DF is equal to I DL cross B. Making sense? So that's how the proof can be thought of, and ultimately we need to keep in mind whenever the current carrying wire is present in a magnetic field, it experiences a force, and that force is given by this on a differential current element. So to summarize, we have found out that the force acting on a current carrying wire is given by integration I DL cross B. That's the formula that is coming. Now again we will say that this I is going to be uniform along any conducting wire, so we can take this I outside and we will be integrating on this aspect. So this can be further simplified in this manner. That means I is a constant, which is normally, and this is going to be integration of DL cross B. So idea would be, first you go for the DL cross B and then go for the integration, and the length will be running from initial length to final length. Now this can be simplified for a particular case, so that case I am writing over here, and mostly you are going to use that. If magnetic field that we are talking about is uniform. So uniform means that does not change over the space, so that means B is uniform at all space. So let's say this was the wire having current I, and magnetic field was located or applied in any direction, but that is uniform. Since it is uniform, so that means for this element or no matter where we take the element, B will remain the same. That means V does not change with respect to location. So B is independent of DL, and if it is independent of DL, then we can take that outside from the integration. Then formula becomes quite a simple. It becomes F is equal to I, which was already outside, integration this integration of DL, and we can take this separate and cross B. That means we have taken this B outside. Now what is integration of DL? We have already talked about two terms. Integration of DL vector is basically displacement vector, and integration DL is a length. So thus it indicates total length, that indicates total displacement. So we can call it as this is going to be L, and this is going to be some another thing, that's the length, or you can say total distance. So we have already talked about that. Here we are using this, so we can use that thing. So it's going to be written as F is equal to I L cross B. Now you'll find in uniform magnetic field case, you are not supposed to, or you are not required rather, to integrate, because integration has been settled down. So it gets settled because of uniform nature of magnetic field, and that becomes formula. You will be given I, you will be given B, L you need to decide, and then you can find your answer. Let's say if I say some picture different than this, any picture we can think of. Let's say this kind of wire is given to us, and in this wire, let's say magnetic field has been given uniform and it is inside. This kind of small example. So magnetic field is into the plane and magnetic field is said to be uniform. So as soon as it says it is uniform, then we can simplify the formula and we can write the force. So what the force is going to be, for that sake L has to be decided, and in case of uniform, this L is going to be starting from the starting point. So that's the starting point of the wire and that's the final point of the wire. So what we need to do, we need to join the starting point with the final points. So this is going to be behaving like L vector. So this is going to be L vector. So L vector is basically joining the initial point and final point together, and it does not depend on how the wire is distributing and how the wire is oriented. It simply depends on the initial point and final point. So you can say this is your L vector. Now by geometry you will be able to find what the L is and direction from initial to final depending on the current flow, and then you can go for the cross product. Now if I supposed to write the answer or force in this case, so we will writing the force is going to be I L into B into sin theta. Now the angle between B, which is inside L on the plane, so it's going to be 90. So we are going to write sin 90 degree, and we know what it is, so it's going to be simply F is equal to I L B. So that's the magnitude of force acting on this current carrying wire because of this magnetic field, right? And direction, as far as the direction is concerned, so we can think of where the force is going to act. So L cross B, L is this, B is this, then you can go for the cross product, and cross product will give you the direction. So force will be acting in this direction perpendicular to this L and upward direction. So that's going to be the direction of force. So we can get what the value of force is and in which direction it's going to act, both we can find out. Okay, so this is how we can simplify whenever it's a uniform. If it is non-uniform, then we need to go with this formula. So this formula is true for all the cases, whether it's uniform or non-uniform. Making sense? It should make sense. Another point that we can add over here is this. Now if this wire is like this and having this current, still you are going to get the same answer. That means initial point and final point matter. Even if it is like this, still you are going to get the same answer as long as its initial point and final points are same. So all the wires orientations, this wire orientation doesn't matter. It matters initial point and final points whenever the B is uniform. So this uniform characteristic is very, very important. Well, so that's one point. Now let's move ahead. Another important point we can also learn over here. Let's say our wire starts from here and goes like this and comes back again at the same point, and this is a current carrying wire. So we call it as a current carrying loop because it's forming a loop. So its initial point and final points are same. So if we try to draw initial point or try to join initial point with the final point, then the L vector is going to be null vector. So whenever a current carrying wire makes a loop, then if there is a presence of magnetic field and which is uniform, just like this, in that case you will find the L vector will become 0, hence the force will become 0, because in this force you use this L vector. So from here we can conclude one important result, and that result is in uniform magnetic field, the magnetic force on a current carrying loop is always 0. So note it down, this point which says the magnetic force on a current carrying loop in presence of uniform magnetic field is always 0. Right, as long as the field is uniform, it will be 0. If field is non-uniform, it may not be 0, so there is no necessity for it to be 0. And if B is uniform, then it is necessary to be 0 for a loop. Okay. And if it is not a closed loop, then it will be using L, and you can give your answer like this. So for a closed loop, it is 0. What is 0? The magnetic force because of presence of uniform magnetic field. Okay. So here is an application of that force that we have just talked about, and this is also going to be like a formula for us. It says force between parallel current carrying wires. So let's say they are long parallel current carrying wires, and we need to find the force acting between these two wires because of the currents. Here we have taken the currents in the same direction, so there can be two possible cases, same direction or opposite directions current. So what we can do is like just 2 point charges, there's going to be electrostatic force, here is going to be magnetic force because of two current elements. So first of all, because of this one, we can find the magnetic field in 2, and we can say the second is placed in the magnetic field of first, or we can say first is placed in the magnetic field of second. So either will work. So let's say we are trying to find the magnetic field of first at the location of second. So because of this, the magnetic field is going to be here, and that's going to be B1. So that means we can think of this 2 is placed in presence of magnetic field of 1, so that's a B1. And in this 2 we can take any differential length element, so that's going to be differential length element dl. And here we can apply this df force. So the force on 2 is going to be df vector, it's going to be is equal to I2, the current on the element, into dl, that means current element cross magnetic field because of 1. So we need to use this. Now what we can do with this, we can simplify this. So this df is going to be, df as a vector is equal to I2, which is a current, and then can simplify this cross product, which is going to be dl into b1 into sine 90, because they are going to be perpendicular, you can see from the picture. Sine 90 is 1, so it's simply going to be I2 into dl into b1. b1 is the magnetic field because of the first wire at the second location. So what the B1 going to have a magnitude, we have already talked about, it's going to be mu naught, the current I1 divided by twice pi the distance is d. Since they are parallel, so at all locations the distance will remain the same. So what this df is going to be, we can say this df is going to be equal to I2 into dl into b1. b1 in place of b1 we can write it this, mu naught I1 divided by twice pi into d. So from here you are able to find this df force. So this df force is going to be equal to mu naught I1 I2 divided by twice pi d, and this is going to be dl. Now if you want, you can integrate, because this force is going to be in a particular direction, so we can integrate it. But since the length is infinite, so dl is going to be infinite, so we generally don't integrate, rather we calculate this thing. We calculate force per unit length. So force per unit length, if you are looking for, so it's going to be basically df by dl, and that becomes the formula. So force per unit length will come out as a mu naught I1, the first current, I2, the second current, divided by twice pi d. So that's the formula we can remember for interaction of force between two parallel current carrying wires. Now let's talk about the direction. If this was B and that was dl, so dl cross B, if you do, then you'll find it's going to be acting in this direction, so that's going to be force. So the force will be acting in this direction, that means first wire will be attracting the second wire, and we know this is their third law of Newton is going to act, so second wire will also going to attract the first wire. That means the force is going to be attractive if the currents are moving in the same direction. But if we change the direction of current I2 or I1, that means one make opposite, then you will find this is going to be repulsion. So from here we can also remember this point, same direction current will cause attraction. This will lead to attraction or attractive force between the wires. Opposite direction currents, if you are having opposite direction currents, then the force will be repulsive in nature. Repulsive force. So by looking at the direction, we can claim whether the force is attractive or repulsive, and this is going to be the magnitude in either case. Well, so that is the force between two parallel long current carrying wires. That means if you connect these two wires or arrange these two wires like this, after some time you will find these wires, if they are free, they will be bending. So this will be bending, that means they will be coming closer. Why? Because of regions the current is in the same direction, so they are being attracted. And if you change the current, then they will be repelling each other, right? So that's one of the important application of this force. And for other application, we can use this formula. This is the formula that we have learned. So wherever the need requires, we will be using that force, and that force will be used just like other force in free body diagrams and calculating the accelerations and deformations or whatsoever, wherever the force can be used. Okay, so let's keep this video short. And in this video, particular topic that we have covered is the force due to current magnetic field on a current carrying wire. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a good time.